Welcome, Madam Chair. We are good to go on YouTube for you.
Wonderful. Thank you. Sorry for being a couple minutes late. I was just on the phone with the OHSU public health economist, Dr. Peter Graven, to better understand the models that have been shared. So very helpful. Okay, so I will call the Tuesday, August 17th, 2021, Washington County Board of Commissioners meeting to order. Clerk Moss, announcement and attendance, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Washington County Board of Commissioners, also meeting as the Board of Directors for Clean Water Services and all other county service districts, is now meeting in this regular session, August 17th, 2021. Commissioner Willie?
Here.
Commissioner Rogers?
Here.
Commissioner Fye?
Here.
Chair Harrington?
Here. Thank you. Commissioner Pam Trees is excused. So we'll get on with our agenda meeting, or the agenda for our meeting. Just a quick announcement. We had a few changes to our agenda from when it was first published. Under the consent agenda, items 16 and 17 have been added. On the public hearing section, item E1 has been removed, will be rescheduled for a future date. And then item under the action section, item F1, related to the City of Tualatin Southwest and Basalt Creek Development Area Urban Renewal Plan, has updated and added information. That's it for updates to the agenda. We'll move on then to our first section of public communication. This is our 2-minute opportunity. Clerk Moss, do we have anyone signed up to testify today?
Yes, we do, Madam Chair. We have Kathleen Hirsch available. Kathleen, can you hear us?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Please go ahead for up to 2 minutes.
Okay. I'm Kathleen Hirsch. I'm the co-chair of the League of Women Voters Washington County Unit. And my request is that you refer to the ballot a charter amendment to change our voting method in Washington County to ranked choice voting. I am working with a coalition called Ranked Choice Voting for Washington County. The two advantages I see for you as the Board of Commissioners is that under this setup, the entire election would happen in November for the Board of Commissioners and the county sheriff. Instead of having an extended election process starting with filing in February or March and potentially running through to November. We would still be coming up with a candidate, a winner that received 50% or more of the vote, but would only have to have one election season for the county commissioners and the sheriff. This can be referred to the ballot by the Board of Commissioners as a charter amendment, and I'm requesting that you consider that. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathleen. Madam Chair, we have no one else signed up, but do any members of the public wish to provide any additional comment for up to 2 minutes? Not seeing any hands, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Clerk Moss. We'll then move on to the consent agenda. Today's consent agenda consists of 17 items. That is 2 sets of minutes, 4 items under Clean Water Services, 5 items under Land Use and Transportation, 2 items under Health and Human Services, 1 item under our Juvenile Services Department, 2 items under Support Services, and 1 item under County Council. What are the wishes of the Commission?
Move for approval of the consent.
Thank you, Commissioner Rogers, and a second from Commissioner Willie. All those in favor, please vote by saying aye or raise your hand. Thank you, commissioners. Any opposed? The motion carries unanimously 4-0. Next, we'll move on to boards and commissions. We have 2 items under this today. The first of which is to appoint members to the Washington County Audit Committee, specifically Mark Cooper, Darlene Dick, Fernando Lira, and Jeffrey Moxie to our Audit Committee. Do we have a motion to approve those appointments? We have a motion from Commissioner Rogers, a second from Commissioner Willie. All those in favor, please vote by saying aye or raise your hand. Thank you, commissioners. Any opposed? The motion carries unanimously 4-0. The next is to appoint the following to the Planning Commission representing District 1. Rachel E. Mori-Bedeau to the position expiring January 31st, 2022, and Anastasia Milliman to the position expiring January 31, 2025. Both will be eligible for reappointment, which will require future board action. What are the wishes of the commission? Motion from Commissioner Fye. Do we have a second from Commissioner Willie? Thank you. All those in favor, please vote by saying aye or raise your hand. Thank you, commissioners. Any opposed? The motion carries unanimously 4-0. And I thank all of our community members who have volunteered their time and expertise to both of these boards and commissions. Next, we'll move on to public hearings. We have 6 different public hearings today. One is related to land use and transportation from Susan Nolte, and then 5 are different public hearings for annexation from one particular property ownership from Sunshine Elite Investments. So we'll try to run through these in proper order. First is an item to consider the annexation of one tax lot and right-of-way totaling approximately 0.71 acres to the Clean Water Services District. Do we have a brief staff report first?
We do, Madam Chair. Brian Robb will walk us through, as you said, this first item is a standalone, and then we'll do a single staff report on the other items as a group. Go ahead, Brian. Thanks.
Thanks, and hopefully the audio is better this time around from last week. Okay, good. Good morning, Chair Harrington and Commissioners. I'm Brian Robb, Associate Planner with Land Use and Transportation, and the annexation before you today, case file number 21-015, is a request by Susan Nolte and Lee Grunes to annex one tax lot and right-of-way totaling approximately 0.71 acres into the Clean Water Services District. And based on the facts and findings in the July 28th staff report, staff recommends that the board adopt the resolution in order approving this annexation with the approval becoming effective immediately. If there's any public testimony provided today by anyone other than the applicant, there's a brief statement I'll need to read into the record. With that, I'll conclude my staff report and can answer any questions you may have.
Commissioners, do you have any questions from the staff report before we have a public hearing? Nope. Seeing none, I'd like to open a public hearing. Clerk Moss.
We have no one signed up, Madam Chair. Do any members of the public wish to provide testimony on this first public hearing item? Not seeing any hands, Madam Chair.
All right, and with that, I'll close the public hearing. Commissioners, may we have a motion to adopt the resolution in order approving the annexation with approval becoming effective immediately and authorizing the chair to sign the resolution in order for Service District Annexation 21-015 LRP/BC. Motion from Commissioner Rogers. Do we have a second? second from Commissioner Willie. All those in favor, please vote by saying aye or raise your hand. Thank you, commissioners. Any opposed? The motion carries unanimously 4-0. Next, we'll move on to a sequence of 5 different public hearings, but we're going to have one combined staff report. So I'll turn it over to you, Mr. Roberts and Mr. Rob. Thank you.
Yep, go ahead, Brian.
Thank you. Case file numbers 21-010 through 21-014 are requests by Sunshine Elite to annex 1 tax lot and right-of-way totaling 2 acres into Clean Water Services, Tualatin Valley Water District, Enhanced Sheriff Patrol District, Urban Road Maintenance District, and the Tualatin Hills Park and Recreation District. Based on the facts and findings in the July 28th staff report, staff recommends that the board adopt the resolution and orders approving these annexations, with the approvals becoming effective immediately. If there's any public testimony, again, provided by anyone other than the applicant, I'll have to read a brief statement into the record. With that, I'll conclude my staff report.
Commissioners, do you have any questions? And just for the members of the public, so what we're about to have are public hearings for each of the appropriate special districts for this property set. There's Clean Water Services, the Enhanced Sheriff Patrol, the Tualatin Hills Park and Recreation District, the Tualatin Valley Water District, and the Urban Road Maintenance District. So with that, I'd like to open, and I have to have separate public hearings for each one. So I'm going to open the public hearing with regard to Clean Water Services annexation. Clerk Moss.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Do any members of the public wish to provide testimony on this acquisition to Clean Water Services District? Not seeing any hands, Madam Chair.
With that, I'll close the public hearing. Do we have a motion for approval of this resolution in order? We have a motion from Commissioner Rogers, second from Commissioner Willie. All those in favor, please vote by saying aye or raise your hand. Commissioner Fye? No, okay. Okay. Any opposed? Okay. The motion passes unanimously 4-0. Next, we'll move on to the public hearing for the annexation for these 2 acres to the Enhanced Sheriff Patrol District. Do we have a motion?
Oh, Madam Chair, open the public hearing.
Oh,
Decision.
gosh.
Yep.
I'm sorry. Thank you. We need to open the public hearing on the Enhanced Sheriff Patrol District.
All right. Thank you, Madam
Open
Chair.
the public hearing.
Do
Yes.
any members of the public wish to provide testimony on this item? Not seeing any hands, Madam Chair.
Thank you. I'll close the public hearing. Now we had a motion from Commissioner Willie, a second from Commissioner Rogers. All those in favor, please vote by saying aye or raise your hand. Thank you, commissioners. Any opposed? The motion carries unanimously 4-0. Next, we'll move on for having the annexation of these 2 acres to the Tualatin Hills Park and Recreation District. I'll open the public hearing. Clerk Moss.
Thank you, Chair Harrington. Do any members of the public wish to provide testimony on this item? We have no hands, Madam Chair.
With that, I'll close the public hearing. Do we have a motion for this annexation into the THPRD? We have a motion from Commissioner Rogers, a second from Commissioner Willie. All those in favor, please vote by saying aye or raise your hand. Thank you, commissioners. Anyone opposed? The motion carries unanimously 4-0. Next, we'll move on to the Tualatin Valley Water District annexation. I'd like to open a public hearing. Clerk Moss.
Do any members of the public wish to provide testimony on this public hearing item? We have no hands, Madam Chair.
Okay, with that, I'll close the public hearing. Do we have a motion for adopting the resolution in order for the Tualatin Valley Water District? We have a motion from Commissioner Rogers, a second from Commissioner Willie. All those in favor, did I do something wrong? No? Say something.
No, I'm
please.
just watching Commissioner Fai's facial reactions on this. I'm telling her to jump in and she's not listening.
Right.
So, you know.
We don't want it to be a
Okay,
Roy and Jerry show.
That's right.
we have a motion from Commissioner Rogers, a second from Commissioner Willie. All those in favor, please vote by saying aye or raise your hand. Thank you, commissioners. Any opposed? The motion carries unanimously 4-0. One last time for the Urban Road Maintenance District, I'd like to open a public hearing. Clerk Moss.
Does any members of the public wish to provide testimony on this public hearing item? Not seeing any hands, Madam Chair.
And with that, I'll close the public hearing. Commissioner Fai, might we have a motion to adopt this resolution in order? And we have a second from Commissioner Rogers. All those in favor, please vote by saying aye or raise your hand. Thank you, commissioners. Any opposed? The motion carries unanimously 4-0. Thank you very much. It is appropriate and necessary that we follow state procedure to have the appropriate public hearings for such annexations, even though it does take time. Okay, we'll move on to the action section of our agenda. This is another really important effort that reflects the meaningful work that has transpired with the city of Tualatin to make most effective and best use of not only land within their community, but also public resources. So we're going to move on to consider approval of the City of Tualatin Southwest and Basalt Creek Development Area Urban Renewal Plan. And we'll turn it over to Director Stephen Roberts. And I know that in our participant list, we also have representatives from the City of Tualatin, including Mayor Bubanek and City Manager Sherilyn Lombos and other subject matter experts, should any of you have any questions. So at this juncture, I'd like to turn it over to you, Mr. Roberts, and Chris Deffelbach.
Yep, thank you. Yeah, Kevin, can you promote Chris as well? She's actually going to run through the presentation for us. So I will just say the action that's before your board today is to approve a resolution approving the city's proposed Southwest and Basalt Creek area development area plan, an urban renewal plan. And our recommendation to staff is to move forward with the adoption of the resolution. And the details are in your staff report. Maybe go ahead and go on to the next slide, and Chris can jump in here when she gets on. So this is a map showing the area. It's sort of a 2-area urban renewal area. And your board was briefed on this, of course, a couple of weeks ago, but you've got sort of a larger area in the north part of Tualatin that straddles Tualatin Sherwood Road, the southwest area, and then you've got Basalt Creek is the area just to the south of the city limits existing. And the board action today is a requirement because the urban renewal area includes unincorporated properties. So under state statute, your board also needs to adopt a resolution approving the urban renewal area. And there's Chris.
Yeah.
Feel free to jump in.
Yes, okay, thank you, I will. And thanks, yeah, I am now a panelist. So if we move to the next slide, I'd like to start, this is a short presentation, let's start with just a little bit about the background. So Tualatin convened a 7-member task force to recommend the proposed plan boundary and the projects. And in June, the Tualatin Development Commission approved a 45-day public review process for the proposed plan and allowed time to confer with overlapping tax districts. In July, the Tualatin Planning Commission found that the plan conformed with the Tualatin Development Code and Tualatin Comprehensive Plan. And on August 9th, the Tualatin City Council held a public hearing on the plan. Next slide. You were able to review the plan on August 3rd when the City of Tualatin representatives presented the proposed plan for your review and comment. And at that time, a majority of the board members encouraged the Tualatin City Council to reaffirm prior city commitments to support the Basalt Creek Parkway extension and to work with the county to develop a funding strategy as outlined in the urban planning area agreement and previous documents. So in response, the city has amended their proposed plan to include funding contribution for the Parkway project, and they have submitted a letter to you affirming support for the Basalt Creek Parkway extension. Next slide. So the plan proposal is really intended to support that development and the job creation of these two employment areas, the southwest of Basalt Creek. The urban renewal area includes over 700 acres, which is about almost 650 of land in tax lots, and just over 70 acres that would be public right-of-way. The proposed plan anticipates a 30-year tax increment collection period to implement the plan, with a maximum indebtedness of over $53 million. The maximum indebtedness from the fiscal year ending in 23 to 52 for Washington County is estimated at over $12 million. Next slide. So this again is a little bit bigger picture of the boundary, and with some annotation to show you sort of the extent from Basalt Creek Parkway at the southern end. And you can see its proximity to I-5, and you see 124th, which the county completed a few years ago and is now really starting to open up businesses there. And that's up to Tualatin Sherwood Road just above. So you get a sense of this, of the area with some of the road names on it. The next slide, please. And the reason we're here is because of these hatched areas, which show the portions of this area that remain unincorporated in Washington County. Next slide. So the projects to be funded in the plan include transportation projects, a Blake Street extension, which is parallel south of the Tualatin Sherwood Road, an intersection of where that road, signal improvements of where that new road would connect with 124th Avenue, support for the Tonkin Trail project, and then the Basalt Creek Parkway extension, which was recently added. The plan also includes sewer improvements and water system upsizing, so basic infrastructure. The plan includes some funding for natural resource protection, which was added at the same time as the Basalt Creek Parkway extension, and then additional funds for property mitigation and small business grants. And this is, of course, is in addition to the standard administrative costs, finance costs of the urban renewal plan. So the next slide, please. So where we are now is, of course, an action for you today, the 17th. Next Monday, the Tualatin City Council is scheduled to take action on the proposed plan. By the fiscal year ending in 23, the revenue generation would begin. It will be an estimated fiscal year ending 29 before the project expenditures begin, because it takes a while to collect the revenues. And then in fiscal year ending 52, the revenue collection will end. So that's a short presentation. I think there is one more slide, just comments or questions. So are there any questions or comments for me or for Stephen? And then, as you saw, we do have representatives from the city of Tualatin here, if you have any questions for them.
Commissioners, do you have any questions or comments on the staff report?
I'd like to make a couple of comments, though. First of all, it's obviously in my district. This has a very long history of actions that occurred well beyond the tenure of the current mayor and not the city manager. They understand the complexities of it. They've done a great job of chatting. We've had a number of conversations and meetings. These things are never easy. It took a lot of negotiations with prior representatives from Metro, and there was some state reps involved. There was two mayors, one from Wilsonville and one from Tualatin, and commitments were made. And I think the city has been outstanding in their efforts to meet those commitments. for a couple of other issues, Chris, that you didn't mention. That one, it was always known that there would have to be some look at that Boone's Ferry issue as the road connects. So we need, as this is studied, and as I mentioned to the mayor the other day, that this is probably, he and I will be in rocking chairs looking at each other by the time a lot of this gets done. But we really need to study that Boone's Ferry and, you know, backups and issues that are involved. Also, the environmental issues, those have always been there, and we really never skirted that. That's part of any federal funding or state funding, and has to be thoroughly examined and looked at. And so I don't see that anyone is suggesting that, you know, that we're going to do anything other than what's best for the area. And so anyway, I'll stop with that. Nothing more needs to be said other than to say thank you to the city representatives for their understanding in this complex issue.
Thank you, Commissioner Rogers. Any other commissioners? Go ahead, Commissioner Willie.
Hi, yes. Well, I'm obviously just, you know, new to this entire process. So Roy's got all of the institutional knowledge to it. I'm just wondering why we have to wait 6 years for the lead in on this, and why it isn't being bonded and starting sooner than that. Is that not possible, or can you give me some information on that?
I think that's a question I would turn to the people with the finance numbers at City of Tualatin, who calculated how much revenue they expect to get from this.
Jerry, can I jump into that? Because this is a regional and county facility. It's just not the city of Tualatin. So they wouldn't go in and bond all this stuff. It would be us. I mean, could it have been done through a misstep? Of course, but we have commitments that go throughout the county for a lot of different projects. And so we're trying to cobble money together from state and federal sources. And so that's why it wasn't there at any one time. There also has to be completion of any EIS for those sensitive environmental issues. There's other studies in coordination with Tualatin that have to be done in regard to Boone's Ferry. And in Wilsonville, there's a day road connection, which we haven't even talked about, and issues in there. And so there's a lot of coordination that need to be done. And so your idea is great. I wish we would have bonded a lot of things 20 years ago, but this wasn't really on the horizon. And I can't remember. Chris, you might tell the commissioner how much more money is needed to complete this project. That'll help understand.
Yeah, I think one thing to realize is that it's a bridge, and bridges are always hard because we don't have development on either side to help pay for it. And bridges are lumpy. You don't build a half a bridge, you need the whole bridge. So the cost of the latest cost we have, Stephen, I think it's over 40 million. So it is increasing. And one of the problems is, as we know, construction costs increase over time as well. So we always knew we would need help getting this funded. That's one of the reasons it was federalized, so that it'd be eligible to seek additional grant funding, federal funding. So yes, it is. We are working on it, and it has taken a while to design it. And of course, it took us a while to get there because we started with 124th and completed that project and made other project improvements in the area to Graham's Ferry and other roads. So it's been a series of investments. But I'm sorry, I thought your question was why does the city of Tualatin need to wait 6 years before they have enough money to spend on projects? So.
Well, that was part of the question, and thank you, Roy, for the detail on the Washington County unincorporated as well as Tualatin City. My only experience with URDs has been, of course, with the city of Hillsborough when I was mayor. Much easier then. There was only one player plus special districts, and so probably a little bit easier to put that together. And so I wasn't aware of the other complexities. So thanks for that. It's just, you know, like you said, construction costs are only going to continue to increase. So the project kind of runs away from us as we're trying to catch up. And so it'd really be nice to see this sooner than later, but I understand you've done all the number crunching and done all the details. So we'll just wait 6 years.
There's three parties. There's one, the city of Wilsonville, two, the city of Tualatin, three, the Washington County unincorporated. So you perfectly laid it out. It's much easier when you're in a city and it's all incorporated into a project that you can control. And frankly, I don't think it would be fair for the city of Tualatin to have to invest a lot of money. This is a county regional facility. It's serving a huge area. And so they're making a contribution. Thank you, Mayor, for inserting some contribution to show their goodwill. I think it's terrific.
Yeah, and I would just add, I think, we certainly understand there are some questions and concerns amongst council members, and we look forward to continuing to work with the city and try to work through a number of issues. It's a complex project and it's in a difficult location, and so we understand that there are things that we need to continue to work through. So we look forward to that process.
So, Mr. Roberts, the city's consultant, Elaine Howard, had her hand raised. She's since dropped it. But I want to leave the door open to staff and the city if you would wish her to add anything at this time. It's your choice. Okay,
Well,
go ahead.
I believe that Elaine could answer the question of why 2023 for the spending of the money, but if that question has already been answered, it's not necessary.
All righty. Commissioner Fye, do you have any points you wish to make? Otherwise, okay, so I'll conclude with, I want to really thank the mayor, city manager, the city council and staff for the work that you've done on this since the board work session on this topic a few weeks ago now. I really appreciate the effort that you've put in and the letter that you've provided to us. This really extends the history of working in partnership on this. It affirms your commitment. It's a very strong expression of that with the $500,000 financial contribution in the urban renewal plan. I will continue to encourage Tualatin City Council members, the current City Council and future City Council members, to continue to ask their questions as they work to make informed decisions to further not only this project, but the vision of the community of Tualatin. I greatly appreciate their service, their public service on behalf of their community, and it is very appropriate for them to have questions and to ask for information, support, and engagement in addressing those in their public service. It's not easy, and sometimes questions can make us uncomfortable, but it is necessary, and I defend their right to them. So with that, I believe we have completed today's staff report and have gone through seeing if there are any commission questions and comments. So seeing none, I am going to ask the commission for a motion to approve the resolution and order approving the City of Tualatin Southwest and Basalt Creek Development Area Urban Renewal Plan. We have a motion from Commissioner Rogers. Do we have a second? We have a second from Commissioner Willie. All those in favor, please vote by saying aye or raise your hand. Thank you, commissioners. Any opposed? The motion carries unanimously 4-0. Congratulations to you, City of Tualatin, and thank you for joining us today. Really appreciate it. Next, we'll move on to our public comment opportunity, our second one of the meeting. Clerk Moss, do we have anyone signed up or wishing to speak with us today?
We have no one signed up, Madam Chair. Do any members of the public wish to address the board for up to 5 minutes? Seeing no hands, Madam Chair.
All right. right, so we'll move on then to Board of Commissioner updates. I'll start with announcing our 2 meetings next Tuesday, August 24th, a work session that will start at 1:30 p.m., a different time than usual. Then we'll have our evening board meeting at 6:30. We have then the month of September already. On September 2nd, we'll have a roundtable. Then the following Tuesday, which is the Tuesday after the Labor Day weekend, we'll have a work session that starts at 8:30. Then we'll pause that, go to the Housing Authority Board of Directors meeting at 10 a.m., then a Washington County Board of Commissioners meeting at 11. Then we go right into Tuesday, September 14th, just fully a work session day. Then stay tuned, everybody. We have our 3rd commission town hall on Saturday, September 18th. It's a virtual town hall starting at 10 a.m. Brought to you by Zoom. Please check our calendar and website for that Zoom link. Then we'll round out the end of September with a set of work sessions on Tuesday, September 21st, and then again on September 28th. And by then we'll have our next academic school year started in the month of September. Commissioners, are there any other announcements you'd like to share as part of today's meeting?
A request. I see that we have a date, a time certain at 1 o'clock, which we have to obviously do. We're an hour and a half before lunchtime. Is there any way we can do the civil service member appointments update, or provide the update on the behavioral workforce, so we can just wrap up and just have the afternoon? I don't know how the rest of the commission feels about that, but as I mentioned, I got in very, very late last night, so I'm a little tired.
So that question goes to our CAO, Ms. Angie. You're on mute. It's okay.
Thank you, Chair Harrington and Commissioner Rogers. I honestly wasn't prepared for that question. So let me just check briefly with Eva Labonte and also Marnie Kyle and see if we can make that work.
If it does, do we go to a different, go back to the work session?
Right,
Okay.
that's what I was going to ask Clerk Moss, because for recording purposes, we need to check with him. And he may be finding the answer to that question now. There he is, Clerk Moss.
Thank you, Chair Harrington. Commissioners, we would use the afternoon Zoom link, and then we would just put a slide up to break during lunch and come back at 1 o'clock.
Okay.
So you'd
All
use
right.
the 3rd link, Commissioner Rogers.
Yep. It's unavoidable since we've invited the mayors to our time certain at 1 p.m. To have the COVID-19 update and discussion then, but I do applaud taking advantage of time if possible. And I don't have any other delay techniques up my sleeve, as Ms. Angie works feverishly to get in touch with staff. Yeah, she's working on it.
I would propose that we just take a break right now and jump off of this Zoom link, jump onto the other one. The break sign will be up, and then we can come back in at maybe 11 o'clock. And then if we can do it, we do it. If we don't, then we'll just go to 1
I'm
o'clock.
with you. Yep,
Okay.
I'm with you on that. So I need a motion to adjourn today's business meeting. So moved from Commissioner Rogers, second from Commissioner Willie. All those in favor, please vote by raising your hand or saying aye. Thank you, commissioners. Any opposed? The motion carries unanimously 4-0. The August 17th, 2021 Board of Commissioners meeting is hereby adjourned. See ya at 11. Thank you.